Relax, the keyboard is off and the press box is closed, but the mic is just getting warmed up. Welcome to the Hockey Writers Ink, the show where the writer is fresh off the presses and the ink is not dry. Join your host, Lance Green, the guardian of the blue paint turned writer, and co-host SteelFlyers, as we bring you all the latest on the Philadelphia.
Hi guys, welcome back to another edition of the Hockey Writers Ink, a Flyers podcast. I'm your host, Lance Green.
And as always, I'm your co-host, SteelFlyers. And Lance, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing all right. How about yourself, buddy?
Oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man. What is going to be happening in the next couple of days?
Well,
What?
I think
Talk
we
to
have
me.
a training camp coming, right? The
I
beginning of a
think
new
so.
season is upon us.
Oh, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. I think that's exactly right. And I got to tell you something, folks. We are super hyped. We're super ready to get in here. We're getting ready to talk about a really great episode here for you guys. We are a Philadelphia Flyers centric podcast, and we got a lot of great things we're going to get into tonight with episode number 139. Don't call it a rebuild. And I think we have to go that way, man, because even the boss is saying that. He's saying that he's not telling the players that it's a rebuild anymore. And when we talked to Jimmy last week, and he said kind of the same thing, you know, we're kind of past that point now, and it's kind of more of a, you know, reloading with younger talent. I mean, you know, what do you think, Lance?
Yeah, as we said last week, I think, for some time, even before Chuck Fletcher was let go, we already started the rebuild, and as far as the draft goes and getting a couple of names. And then now, since Danny Brière's taken over, he's been able to get rid of some guys that were a little long in the tooth, maybe a little too pricey, maybe not living up to their contract, up to par, whatever you want to call it. Shipped out some people, brought in some new people of his own as far as free agents go, as well as having a pretty decent draft. As far as we can see from some of these players that we'll even talk about tonight.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's one of the things that we're going to get into here, folks. Is last weekend, the Philadelphia Flyers suited up for the rookie series against the New York Rangers, and we wanted to cover our impressions about what we thought about that game. There was a lot of young talent that played in that game, not just for the New York Rangers, but of course, but for the Philadelphia Flyers, and some of which we feel will be part of the club moving forward. Do you know what I mean here? And so that's kind of one of the first points that I want to get into here, Lance, and that is the rookie series that the Flyers played against the New York Rangers last weekend in Allentown. Great facility down there in Allentown. Man, I'll tell you what, that's a good thing that they got going on down there, and good facilities. Looking forward to seeing some of the Phantoms games there this year for sure. But we're focused
for sure. And if you guys don't really tend to go there and just head up Flyers games, I think it'll be worth it to take the drive up to Allentown. If you haven't been lately, you need to go. It is an amazing rink. There's not a bad seat in the house.
Nope.
Got some great food there. Got a great pub bar scene there if that's your thing. Always excitement for the kids going around. Great things to do. Keep the kids entertained and get involved in the love of the game. If you don't want to spend that kind of money, the Phantoms are your thing, and they're going to have a great team with some of these young players that we're getting ready to talk about this year. So whoever stays down and doesn't make the team, they're going to continue to develop under Ian LaPerriere there. So great things are to come, and especially if you go into Phantoms games, you're going to see some competitive hockey this year. So saying that, go ahead, Steel.
Yeah, no. I agree with everything you're going to say for sure. I think to build on what the team did last year, like came on late at the end of the season to they made it into the playoffs. They took their series to the final. They had to play all three games to decide who was going to move on. But to build on that for next year, I think is going to be a good thing, especially with the number of players that are either poised to make that jump to the NHL or maybe not quite ready to make that jump to the NHL, but are definitely past their junior teams and will be really good additions to this edition for the AHL club, the Phantoms. So, and Lance is right, man. You guys, if you don't get a chance, you got to get out there and check out a game or two for sure. It's a really nice place to check out a game, and he said there's not a bad seat in the house, so you got to go check that out. We will be checking out some of them this year for sure because of the talent that's going to be there. And some of that talent that we're going to talk about right now that's going to be potentially playing there played in this rookie game against the New York Rangers. Now, the Flyers lost both games. First game 4-2, second game 3-1. Lance, what is the first thing that stands out to you about the good, the bad, and the ugly of the rookie series that the New York Rangers played with the Philadelphia Flyers?
I think there's a lot of good players. We'll start with the good. That's always a good thing to start out with. So,
Good,
um,
right.
a, a couple of players that really impressed me, we'll touch on, and we'll get your points of view too, as well as the third round pick from this year, Denver Barkey. Small, diminutive center, 5'9", still
Yep.
like 150 some pounds
Yeah.
as far as we know. And maybe he's grown a little bit, but he's from the London Knights. He had a great season with the London Knights last year, scored 59 points in 61 games. And, an old goalie like me, he was a plus 18, so that was great too. Um, what I saw from him was very impressive. I saw him get up on his skates and
Yeah.
really get past some of these guys. Was very shifty. Did some very noticeable things on every single shift. He may have not have scored a goal. He may not have had an assist that shift, whatever, but made some heads up pro style plays. He didn't look out of place out there for a guy just coming out of juniors, where a lot of these guys have been a pro athlete and played in the AHL for a couple of seasons and are back again to do this. He impressed me out of
Yeah.
a lot of them. What do you think about
I,
Barkey?
I tell you what, I was quite surprised, honestly. I was not expecting him to be quite as the standout, as you say. Do you know what I
Right.
mean? Just because of his size, his lack of experience. I mean, he just was picked just this past, draft and everything else like that. And I was like, whoa, all right, well, yeah, okay. I like what you're throwing down here, man. He definitely had good anticipation. He definitely was able to read the plays. Do you know what I mean? And that's something that helps him to be a plus player if you can have that anticipation. He had that hockey IQ. You know what I'm saying? Like okay, right? Okay, so that was your good, right?
That was one of them. Yeah,
One
you
of
got
them.
some others here.
All right. Okay, who's another good?
Well, I liked Alex Cernik too. Uh, this year's fourth round pick, right after Barkey. Um, Man, I mean this kid's young Slovakian, can play both sides of the center.
Yes. Chernak played great. Yeah.
Yep, yep. And he played last year in the Swedish leagues, in the junior leagues over there,
Yeah.
and really didn't overly stand out over there because it's a bigger rink and all that. But man,
It's
his game really transitioned well to North American style very quickly. I would say in these games, I thought he was a great playmaker. Really quick on his skates. Really surprised some guys out there. I think of how fast he could skate, and made some amazing setups.
yeah.
I think for some passes that may not scored some goals, but man, he was right on the tape of some players. And really set some guys up to the point where they were kind of surprised it even came on their blade or their stick,
Like,
and
hey,
hit the
there's the
tape.
puck. Yeah,
So
right.
Yeah, like I think, man, that's going to be a great pickup in the mid to late rounds that is going to help this team moving forward. I think it, surprised a lot of people in and around the organization, and even heard some people on some, other platforms that NHL Network and different stuff talking about him as well in viewing some of these games. So kudos to Danny on that one for sure in the scouting department because that's a guy who even surprised me.
Yeah,
Looking at his numbers, looking at some game tape over there. Of course,
it's
the ice is a lot bigger and all that stuff. I
yeah.
just didn't really see that in him. As far as last
Well,
season went.
I'm with you, man. But his dad played in the NHL, okay, for a while, okay, and that's always gonna be. It seems like that's gonna be the theme that Danny's going with here is kids of ex NHL players because let's face it, they've already been in locker rooms. They know what it's like. They kind of have that exposure, if you
Mhm.
will. I mean, if I could go there and say that, I mean, it's kind of funny because another player is the son of a player that was drafted, that I thought looked really well. But one of the things that stood out to me as being very good was Helgi Grans.
Okay.
Oh
I had him
my,
on my list as well. Yeah.
yeah! I mean, I really liked the trust that was given to him. I liked the situations that he played in. I love the fact that he is like how when you first saw Zdeno Chara and you look at a guy that's that tall and you think, yeah, that guy ain't gonna be able to skate or nothing, right? And no, Hoagie Grons was able to do that, and he was able to do exactly the same things. Get up on his skates and get up on the horse and chase after guys. And I mean, he didn't really have to do that much. It only took him a couple of strides, and he was already right there. But you know what I mean, though. But I really liked what he was doing. Really liked what he was doing.
Well, of course, Helgi was a big prospect of mine that I had on my list for the 2020 draft, where he was drafted in the second round by the Los Angeles Kings, of course, and we of course acquired him in the trade for Provorov, which I thought was a major major piece because although he did kind of come down on their rankings as far as being stuck in the AHL for the past two seasons. I really like this guy. He's 21 years, he's only 21 years old. Defensemen develop a little bit, take a little bit longer to develop. He's six foot
Yeah.
three, 205 pounds. He blocks shots. He's a right hand shot, which is great. The Flyers need. Um, he shows the ability to have a ginormous shot from the point when needed. Of course, like Steele said, he's very quick on his skates for being so big. He's very agile. He can move around. He takes big strides. He's on top of you before you know it. Um, and this is the type of guy, like I said, that has been there and done this a couple of times before, right? He's been in
Yeah.
NHL, he's been in training camps, he's been in rookie camps a couple of times. He's been a pro athlete for a couple of years now. He showed that poise that the Flyers wanted him to show, right? He showed that experience out there as far as some of these rookie guys, truly rookie guys who were just drafted a couple of months ago. Really went out there and showed some highlights, but he was just poised out there
Yeah.
and really settled. And I really think that if we see some injuries occur on the Flyers blue line, he's going to be battling to make a call up at least this year. I
Okay.
really really like this guy. Really high on him. I'm glad the Flyers were too in that trade and really acquired him. Definitely one of my favorite young defenders who were drafted and coming up the ranks still and haven't made it quite to the NHL on a regular basis yet, for sure.
Okay. I there was some more good. I mean, do you got any?
Mhm.
I mean, I don't want to. I don't want to. Jump right into the horribleness.
No, no, I think we got a couple of more good players here. I think Tumala really impressed me. 20 years old now, 21 second round draft pick. You know,
He needs to
kind of
impress.
was the first draft pick that year by the Flyers because they
Yeah.
dealt their first round draft pick. We won't get into that, but definitely
Please don't.
looked a
Yeah.
lot bigger, a lot stronger, faster even on that puck, and showed an amazing shot. I think that he didn't really have last year coming into the couple of games that he even played for the Phantoms before being loaned back. You know, everywhere else. So I really liked what I saw from this guy. He showed me that he wants to stick around here and really play possibly for the Phantoms this year,
Mm-hmm.
which I think would be great because I think he could be a great piece for some of these other players that are going to come in this year
Yeah.
and really help out. I think
As a partner.
he's not maybe the guy that goes out and scores so many goals, even though he did, in the lower rankings of the Liga, the AHL of the Liga, let's say, for those guys
Right. But
out there. He
that's still a good league though. That's
A
still a
very good
respected.
league, a very good league, has a
Yeah.
lot of good
Yeah.
players. But he was a plus 27 over there as well. So he definitely showed and improved his defensive game as well last year, which was great. So I really like what I seen from him. A lot of people had him as a first round pick that year, and he kind of fell in the second. And I wouldn't have really picked him. I would have picked somebody else. But he's proving that he is developing and showing promise. So good on him and good on the
Yeah.
Flyers for
Yeah. Getting that.
continuing to
Yeah.
work with him and keeping up with him in the off season and as the season last year went on to really work with his coaches to get him to where he needs to be. Um, but I'll give you one more and then you can give me somebody else. A lot of people didn't like what they saw from Tyson Forster, maybe, but I gotta say, I think he's NHL ready. He didn't really impress us too much in these past two games, but I think there's two type of players, Steel. I think there's a player that benefits like he does from playing with better players. Okay, he's a
Okay.
finisher.
Yeah. I
He's a
got
goal
you.
scorer. He's a goal scorer. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
if he has NHL quality players playing with him, he's going to do just what he did last year. Okay, and when he played with the Flyers in 8 games and he scored 7 points, he's going to step up his game because the people around him are feeding him the puck and allowing him to
Yeah.
finish that puck off or
Mm-hmm.
play off and he's able to play off them. All
Mm-hmm.
right. And then the other type of player is the ones like your Barkeys and your Cernics who are going to be setup guys who are going to make other players like a Forrester better. All right. They're the guys who are going to make that guy have all the highlight reel goals and everything like that. So don't sleep on Tyson Forster. Don't think that he's maybe digressed in his progress and everything like that. Um, I really see him as still coming out into this NHL camp that's coming up and really impressing and
Yeah.
possibly even making out the NHL roster as a starting lineup. Like I said, I think he could really battle some different players this year, and we're just gonna have to see.
I agree. I agree. I agree. Oliver Bonk was liking.
Cool. Good. Another good one.
I really I like this draft pick to begin with. Okay, and so all day long, I was gonna be rooting for this young player, and uh, you know, did not disappoint at all. Okay,
Mhm.
in the amount of game time. I think he only got to play in the first game. Okay, because they only had a select group of guys play in the first game, and then a select group of guys play in the second game. I
Yeah,
can't.
there's a lot of people in camp. Yeah, you can't
Yeah,
play
there was
everybody both games.
right, and but there was only a couple I think that played both games. I can't remember
Both.
if there's but he played in the first game, and
Hmm.
I liked how he looked. I mean, look, we all know that he was young. He was just selected in this year's draft, but I really think that he's not going to need a lot of seasoning. You know what I mean?
Right.
I just don't. I just see that capability of being an NHL player in him kind of already. Do you know he made some really heady plays
Hmm.
during the game? Do you know what I'm saying? And man, you just don't see that from guys that young. Okay, you just don't. Okay, so I'm really looking forward to seeing what he's gonna do in his junior leagues this year, and see how he comes around and what he looks like at the end of the season this year. And then we'll see what hey, come on back next year. We will see you
Right.
next year, Flyers camp. Because I really think there's going to be some other guys that are gonna shine a little bit more. But I'm really liking what I'm seeing out of Oliver Bonk, and I really think that was a great pick.
No, I agree. Bonk was not my pick at that spot. I wanted him
Right.
to draft a defenseman. I
Yeah,
really
yeah, yeah,
liked Moran, who was drafted by
yeah,
Calgary in the
yeah.
second round, I believe. But Bonk
Excuse me.
really goes out there and plays. He's got more size than people think. At 6'2",
Yeah.
he plays a lot smaller, if that makes sense. He's in more in a crouch position, really fast skater. Really does everything pretty much perfect. Like he's a solid defenseman that I would love to have him playing in front of me. You know what I mean? I would take a breath and relax a little bit when he's out there. And I think that
Coming
is the
from the
type of guy
goalie himself.
right. I don't want to put this on him, but that is the type of player that is going to eventually replace maybe Ivan Provorov, somebody in that same that can be a minute eater, that can really go out there
Yeah.
and be a top
Yeah.
four defender for the Flyers. And I think he really has that capability. Do I think he has that capability right this season? No, I don't. I think he needs to go back to juniors for another year and dominate. Um, Playing alongside Sam Dickinson, who
Gee,
the Flyers could
darn.
possibly draft this year as well.
Yeah.
Big body defenseman coming up for this draft.
Right.
But, great young talent, again, that the Flyers lucked out and got. And, a couple other people really didn't have him that high, including me,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. We
really
didn't
paid
either. Yeah.
off for him.
Yeah.
But how about this last guy, Emil Andre? I mean, how the heck did we forget him, right?
We have him.
JJ, right? JJ was high on him, right?
Oh yeah.
Last show, he was saying that he's ready. He's saying he wants to fight for a spot on the Flyers this year.
Yeah.
So hey, great confidence. The kid's 21 years old now, 2020 second round pick. Was a diminutive defenseman, still is, but when drafted, we both were kind of scratching our heads on why he went so high. He's very talented, but with a defenseman being that diminutive, it kind of raises some questions in a lot of people's minds, including mine. And but he really came into the developmental camp this year and showed that he had the physicality to
I was
play
hoping you were gonna bring that up.
The North American style game. Even injuring and having him have to go off ice with Elliot Dejournay in camp. So he really opened up a lot of eyes coming into camp this year. He played well, obviously last season, but he has shown that he could possibly be a bright spot in the Phantom's future, a call up guy for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
That's going to be battling if we get some defense hurt this year. And hey, don't let guys on the Flyers, don't let him come up because he may just take your job this
Yeah,
year.
yeah, that's a good
This
way to
year,
put that. He might find a way to try to stick around. You know what I
right?
mean? So
Right.
you better be on your toes. That's for sure, for sure.
That's for
All
sure.
right.
That's for sure.
So that was the good.
Right.
All right. So of course the remainder of that is the bad. So
Mhm.
okay, what was the bad, Mr. Lance? Give me some of your bad.
Well, I didn't like Dejanay's play. I
Uh,
really wanted to see more from him. Last year, he had a great camp. Stuck around very late in camp to get as long as look as they could.
yeah, yeah.
But he really made some bad decisions in these couple of games with the Rangers. He was trying to push a lot of things. Um, he really went to the outside way too much and got caught out there or rubbed off the play along the boards.
Pushed
And
out.
I wanted to see him get pushed out. I really wanted to see him be able to turn and bring the puck in to create a better shot from more of the center of the ice,
Yeah, good point.
maybe in between the face-off dots there. But he really couldn't do it. He
No, he did.
really couldn't have the speed. He really didn't have the power, the physicality to muscle his way in there. He just looked like an AHL player amongst some possible NHL prospering prospects. And in my mind, he kind of took a step back in the depth charts because, as we know, he was a 2020 fifth round pick and pressed right out the gate. But every year, there's more prospects coming into the team system. There's newer guys that are going to be shining stars and out to take his spot in the depth chart. So I think he better have a good camp with the Flyers here because I wasn't impressed in those two games for sure.
See now, I'm gonna kind of go with the one that you said was kind of good, but for the reasons kind of Tyson Forster, I was not impressed with, and I thought
Yep, a lot
that
of people
was
were.
I thought that was the bad.
Hmm.
Okay, and I have to agree with you that I would like to see him with some higher grade talent. Do you know what I mean? Because
He'll look better this camp when he's playing with NHL players.
right, because those guys, uh, it just creates a bit of room for success for him. Does that make sense? Do you know
Hmm.
you want to put these young players in positions to be successful, and the best way to do that is to put some talent around him, so that he's able to flourish in his natural position, being a finisher, scoring whatever, and playing with playmakers. Do you know what I mean? So I'm
Right.
interested to see how that is. But yeah, he was up on his skates. I will give him that. I mean, he was skating well. Okay, I was impressed with how his skating has come along. Do you know what I'm saying? But
Hmm.
yeah, just we'll see. I agree. I want to see how he plays in camp with some NHL players next to him instead of a crop of rookies and draft picks and stuff like that. Not anything against those young players because let's face it, Lance, this team, this franchise is now building for the future through the draft, through these young players and developing
As they should.
as they should. Do you remember? Okay, you know that wavy, crazy stuff they used to do on TV when they did the flashback scenes,
Yeah.
right? You know they would make that crazy music and everything, right? So I wish I could do that right now, but I can't. Do you remember 18 months ago, Lance? What were we talking about?
Yeah,
Doing
we were.
this very freaking thing.
Yeah.
Okay, you had to tear it all down before you were going to be able to get anything good to come out of it because it was so bad for so long that it took you that amount of time to roll up the tube of toothpaste to get all that bad toothpaste out before you started getting to some of the good stuff. This is what we're getting into right now. This is what Danny Briere is doing with this team right now. This is why this show is called, you can't call it a rebuild. Because we've seen that. No, okay, so this team is, gosh, they're getting way younger. Right?
Which is good. Which is good. Youth, play the youth, let them learn while we're still gathering draft picks. I don't want to say even rebuild anymore because Danny Briere's come out and said that they're not tanking games, guys. They're not going to tank games. They're going to be out to win. Nobody gets a job. John Tortorella, Danny Briere,
to lose.
Keith Jones. Nobody wants that to gain a job and purposely lose to gain draft picks. If you
don't need it.
happen to start losing, then you may sell a couple pieces to get a better draft pick and hopefully help out the future. But you don't really tank games, and especially not at the start of the season when you just got hired. That's not a good way to retain your job for the next season. Philadelphia is a winning city. They want to see their teams win. They want to see their teams do well, or at least go out and give it their best shot every single time for a chance at winning. So Danny Briere knows that. He's been around Philly. He knows what this fan base expects, and I think they're gonna do it. And it's tough to say, but I didn't really like Wisdom either. He had a nice goal in the game. It's kind of controversial, me saying that I didn't really like him, but I think he's a big confidence guy. I really was up on him when the Flyers first drafted him. He really played. He really showed me a lot that first season, but last season he really was down on himself. He really went down to the ECHL even and got stuck down there playing because he couldn't really get going in the AHL. And, I want to see more of him during this next camp. And in a sense, because, I want to see him start making the plays for himself. I think that goal was gifted to him by, I'm forgetting, I think either Barkey or Cernik out there, and just put it on the tip of the stick right in front of the net, and all he had to do was kind of lift it up a little bit. It was really gifted to him. I really want to see him start making his own plays. I really want to see him get more physical like he was in the past. I want to see him winning board battles like he did in the past, and really get back into his game. I don't know if he was trying to do too much or change his game last year, but I didn't really see that same bulldog mentality that you've seen from Wisdom that first year he came up and was playing. So I really hope he gets going.
So now, I thought I might have to tend to disagree here with you, or agree to disagree with you on this. I liked the scrappiness that he showed in the games. I like the fact that he stood up to a much taller, bigger
guy,
player. And he was more than willing to, take care of business when it was needed to, and he's showing that he's willing to stick up for teammates and things of that nature. So
he's starting to show things that he did that first season.
Right.
And what I'm saying is, I like what he did, but it wasn't to the level that he was that first season. I want to see him continue, hopefully get that confidence back in his game so he continues on. In that sense.
So you're saying it's bad, but not really bad, but I mean,
it's starting to turn around. I see that this year, but I really, really want to see more because
I agree.
He was a blossoming prospect to the point where I thought that first year he came up with all the injuries that occurred and all that, I really thought he should have been brought up in a sense, instead of some other players that were that year, but they
Maybe.
didn't give him the opportunity. I think that kind of hurt his confidence, and it showed last season. So as I start to see a little bit more of his game, like you said, the physicality and trying to go up against Rampy, the big 6'8" guy,
I mean,
uh, that that showed a lot of stones in a
that's a
sense,
good way to put
and
that.
you know what I mean. I
Yep.
I like that,
Hmm.
but I want to see more of that. I want to see that be consistent in his
Because
play
that's
this
definitely part of
season.
his game.
Because I think he too was surpassed last year by a lot of guys.
Yeah.
Because he was a 2020 draft pick in the fourth round. I really saw some guys surpass him, and obviously since he was sent down to the ECHL, so
Yeah.
it's a small viewing of what potentially could be him. I expect more out of him. I really like him as a prospect. I expect more out of him this season.
I hope so too, because I agree. I would like to see more out of him. I feel that he is one of those players that potentially could be on the bubble. That if he does show well, he potentially has an opportunity. If he shows well, if he doesn't show well, then we're hoping he shows well. All right. So the last is going to be the ugly. So let's try to make the ugly short and sweet
All right.
of what we thought of this past rookie game.
Well, in my sense, it was Carson, the goalie.
All day
Um,
long.
man, I just don't like his stance. Being a goalie, I hate his stance. It's very low, very crouched.
I was
Uh,
wondering if that was what the
gives
deal. What's the
away
deal with
gives
that?
away the whole top of the net.
Yeah.
Like I just don't like his whole mechanics. I would really like to get on the ice with him, coach too, coach as well. I'd really like to get on the ice with him and just ask him like, what is up, bro? Like, you
Where'd you learn to play goalie?
I mean, not so much. It's obviously worked. He got drafted in a sense, but like, I just don't see it as being able to sustain NHL caliber play. I just he's 6'3". Why is he crouched down that far?
Why are you playing so
He's
small in the net? You
Why
know,
are you
he
playing
looks
so
so
small?
small.
You're
Yeah.
you're trying to you're trying to take up as much of the bottom of the net as possible, where the majority of the shots come from. I get it, but you're now potentially a pro. If you sign a contract here, you were drafted. I don't think that the level, even I don't think the level of the play at the NHL and the AHL is going to allow his abilities, his quickness, and everything to make up for that. I mean, really, he was a 3.5 plus goals against average in the I'm sorry, over a 3 goals against average in the WHL. Last year, only had a 900 save percentage, was barely 500 average, 21, 19, and 5. And he was 8 up for Team Canada in the World Juniors
Yeah.
for over 3.5 goals a game. So, I mean, I don't know what really the Flyers see in him. Uh, he
That's a
was
good way to put
ranked.
that.
He was ranked very high. I had a lot of other
I
goalies
was gonna
higher than
say.
him. This past draft, I don't think he's as polished as some may think. Um, because I mean, the Wheat Kings are not. There's a lot of good teams in the WHL last year, but the Wheat Kings were not bad by any means.
No, they were
They had a
not.
lot. They had a lot of good players on their team. I mean, Nate Danielson and all that. Like Nolan Ritchie. A lot of players that were decent players. I just don't see why they essentially had to draft this kid that high. Um, Maybe he'll prove me wrong this season.
Well,
I don't know.
we'll see. But yeah, dude, I am so with you on that. As far as I'm concerned, you can't even you can't even blame that on the defense. That was just straight up goalie just letting pucks in. I'm sorry, just
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's a little bit of a learning curve. I mean, he's,
yeah. There you go.
obviously coming out of juniors, and
Learning curve.
goalies develop a little bit. But when you have Emil Andre out there, and some of the defensemen that Bonk and all these guys playing in front of you, like the Flyers had defensive prospects out there. Helgi Grans, like they had some good defensive prospects out there. They didn't have just a bunch of scrubs like years past out there
No, no.
playing in front of them. So I just was not overly impressed with this guy. I thought his overall game is kind of ugly in my mind. Great young kid, nice kid, but he's going to
Nice.
have to do a lot more for me. There's a lot of other goalies even in the system that the Flyers have that are going to be over top of him, and to be wasting a second round pick on him, I thought there was some definite other players that the Flyers could have drafted
All
at
day
that
long.
time that would have helped a lot more.
All day long. Even if you would have drafted him in the seventh round.
Yeah, I don't think he would have made it that far.
No, I'm just saying,
He
but
was
even
high
if
on a
you
lot of
would
people,
have,
but
but what I'm saying is that even if you would have, it wouldn't have been a bad pick. No, no, anyway, but I'm with you. All right.
I don't know. If you wanted to go goalie, I would have taken the Italian kid, Damian Clara, um, at that spot. I think he went later on in the second round. Big body kid, probably the best goaltender to ever come out of Italy, ever.
Ever?
Yeah, he's gonna look
What? A goalie
strong.
come out of Italy?
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, that was a really good breakdown of that game there, Lance. And I'll tell you what, I just want to touch on a couple of things here real quick, and I'd like to kind of wrap it up here for this week. We still haven't heard anything here about the Canadian Sports Federation. Have not released anything yet either about what's.
Well, it's definitely interesting. Danny Briere openly has come out and kind of bashed them a little bit about how they're handling this and their inability to get this out.
Yeah.
This information out. If they have it already, they seem like they have done their homework and has found whatever the case may be with it, but it's really impeding a lot of trades. Possibly that the Carter Hart was on the market to be traded,
Yeah.
and we're seeing goalies get traded now. You know, recently, and that could have been Carter Hart, and that could have been a lot of potential picks and prospects coming back for the Flyers. But Danny Briere can't really move anything until this comes out and possibly clears his name. And another thing that kind of is out there that's kind of shaky in my mindset, and making me a little weary about this, is the fact that Carter Hart has cleared off all his Flyers stuff from any media, outlet
Social
of
media. Yeah.
Instagram, social media, Instagram, everything like that. Has taken the Flyers off of that aspect of it, kind of made him private, and so have a couple of his teammates from that Canadian team that are still in limbo. So
Yeah.
interesting, just little tidbit there. I don't know. What do you think, Steele?
Um. Number one, I think it's not just necessarily impeding the Philadelphia Flyers, but the other teams that have these other players on. Number two, it kind of gives a black eye to the NHL because now these players are going to have to be suspended, and it's going to probably come out right when the season starts or right when the season opens, and that's usually not a good time to be releasing this kind of information right when the season's getting started and everybody's all excited
Got
about
their rosters lined up and everything. Yeah.
and at that point it's too late. You're going to be stuck like Chuck the pun completely intended on that. You're going to be stuck now if you suddenly find yourself with a Carter Hart type player being suspended. And that's why I think that Danny Briere went out and did the things that he did and got the deal that he did and got the players that they did, because I think there's this potential of Carter Hart being suspended or whatever the case is. That's what I
Yeah, I
think.
mean, obviously you want to get this right. Obviously, you want to get this right. But on top of Team Canada investigating this, I'm sure the police are as well, in a sense. There could be criminal charges, everything like that, and there darn well should be if this was
Comes to
true.
light to be true, yeah.
Comes to light to be true. So I just, from what I hear, they're kind of sitting on their hands and holding their cards with this. And I thought this information was going to come out many weeks ago, but
Yeah, me
still
too.
hasn't.
Yeah, me too.
And I don't know what honestly they're waiting for.
I don't
I
either.
really don't. So I don't know what the
Unless
downfall
there's,
of this is going to be.
I mean, the only other thing that I could think of, because it wouldn't necessarily fall under the statute of limitations, because 2018 is less than 7 years ago,
Sure.
right? You know what I'm saying? And but then again, I don't know what Canada law is on what the statute of limitation is on that, and that might be part of why this might be being held up, because these players either are now playing in North America and they're not Canada, or I'm just taking a stab here. The whole fact of the matter is that this information has not been released yet, and nobody knows what's going on, and that's just sad as far as I'm concerned, because number one, it leaves everybody in limbo. Not just all these NHL teams, but the people that are involved as far as the victims and everything else like that. And they're all in limbo because, you know what I'm saying, nothing is being resolved. And so getting this resolved, I think, as soon as possible is going to be a good thing. And getting this information out is going to be a good thing, because it needs to come out. That's what my opinion is on this. I'm not a fan of trying to make this into something that it shouldn't be. Or I mean, I don't know what's going on. I'm not privy to any of this information. I'm not a professional by any stretch of the word. This is just my opinion, my 2 cents, my editorial, if you want to call it. But I think this information should come to light. Not just so that players could be traded, but so that punishments can be doled out. So that guilty parties could be made and held accountable. That's the whole point of all this, is so that the guilty parties are held accountable.
Right. So
So
who knows how this is going to play out, but it's definitely becoming a jumbled mess at this point. And it just needs the NHL or somebody needs to step in and present what you have currently, anything, before these teams go and set their rosters for this season, and then find out their star player is being suspended or possibly locked up,
or
even
charged, or well, whatever.
charged with stuff. So I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the best, way to go about
There's
this is,
no
but
good way around any of this, right?
no.
So I mean, as far as you guys all know, me and Lance are all about ripping the Band-Aid off and getting the pain over with, and then facing the facts and getting it. And that's just the best way to do it. Okay, there's no two ways around it. Okay, rip off the frickin' Band-Aid. Let's go and move on. Okay, so. All right, speaking of that, we're going to do that, and we're going to rip off the Band-Aid here a little bit, and we're going to move on just real quick. Training camp starts this weekend, bro. I'll
Yeah,
tell you
guys are
what.
already in the facility, breaking down, what's gonna go on and what's gonna be expected of them, and it's nice to see all the guys in there in black and orange in the video rooms and
Oh,
stuff with that the team released the photos of and stuff like that today.
I
So
like the fact that everybody's here. Cam Atkinson's here. Sean Couturier's here. Obviously, the only one that's not here is Ellis. But
right,
as long as, and even Jim said this in the show last week, which by the way, if you guys got to go check out the show that we did with Jim Jackson. He broke it down for us in his what he thought his views were for this upcoming season for the Philadelphia Flyers, and all you have to do is go to steelflyers.com and or go to YouTube and type in Steel Flyers, and you can see the show that we did with Jim Jackson and get to see the views that he has. And we all kind of feel that, and even Danny mentioned this too in his press conference, that look, we don't feel that they're a bottom of the barrel team, especially with the likes of Cam Atkinson and Sean Couturier back in the lineup. If they are 80% of their old self, then yeah, I can foresee this team winning some games. But if they still miss significant amount of time because of reoccurrence or whatever the case is, then and now you're leaning more on the younger guys to step in and come in and play more and more time. Now your expectations of winning those games now kind of has to drop off a little bit, I would think. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm just being
yeah.
fair,
I
you
mean
know.
that just makes sense. Yeah. So I mean it as Danny alluded to though, they all appear to be healthy at this point. And that preseason football, any other sport you see, you pray for your guys to get through
Knock on
training
wood.
camp. Yeah, yeah, you pray that these guys are going to get through healthy and make it to game one, and not get injured or re-injured in a sense for the likes of Cam Atkinson and Sean Couturier. So it's just going to have to be a wait and see thing. Hopefully everybody is 100% healthy and we can be at least competitive this season, vying for maybe a last spot of the playoffs, or if we don't get knocked off, early before that, and then sell some
Yeah.
assets like Jim said, and go for some more picks.
I mean,
So
like,
and build more through the draft.
you know,
So that it's really going to have to play out and see how it plays out. And I think
right?
Danny's willing to go either way.
Yeah.
Like Jim said, he's going to go out there if the team's there at the deadline. He's probably going to go buy a couple of guys if need be to help the team out, and give them the push over the edge. And if they're not there, we're probably going to play some youth. And he's probably going to
Trade.
sell off a couple
Oh
of
yeah.
guys like Konechny and some of these
Or
other people that
whatever.
still whoever, and get some stuff back for them so we can be that much better next season or the season after that as we still acquire multiple draft picks. The Flyers have multiple draft picks this year, this upcoming draft in the
Draft.
first,
And
multiple
the
in the
second.
second.
Yep.
Yep, multiple in the second. So we're going to get some good quality prospects coming in yet again, this upcoming off season.
Yeah,
So
I agree.
take it how it goes and trust the process, if you will. But wholeheartedly, I trust what Danny Briere and Keith Jones are doing right now.
Me too.
Um, as hard as we were on the Flyers last season, and Chuck Fletcher as well, and we were tough on them.
Deservedly
Uh,
so.
Deservedly so. They needed to do these things that Danny Briere has been able to come in and do in a short amount of time
Mm-hmm.
and turn this franchise on the right track,
Yep.
and have fans hopefully be coming back to games and having faith that this team is at least moving in the right direction. So
I'm with you.
in that sense, still, I think we covered a lot of things, and I think we should just see how it goes with training camp here over the weekend
I
and
know. I can't wait. Yeah.
touch back next week.
And see how, yeah, right. To see at the beginning of training camp, see how that goes. I'm with you on that. So anything in the works? Anything you got spinning around, or are we going to wait for training camp to lace up a fresh story for us?
I think I'm watching a couple things, making a lot of notes on a couple of things. Definitely have some stuff in the prospect world with Prospect Watch or other show
Yep.
in works and all that. So we'll see as far as the Flyers go. I think we'll be able to have an article out here shortly for sure.
Oh, there you go. And I tell you what else too, folks. We're gonna probably try to do a little section in the future on the show here in regards to the Phantoms, because we want to make sure that we're keeping up with the Phantoms and reporting back what we're doing and what we're seeing with the Phantoms, because we want to keep track of these young players so that we can see how they're going to be for the Flyers in the future and things like that. So I'll be looking for some of that in the future. And so, Lance, I got to say, man, thank you very much for all you do, man, and appreciate everything and all the hard work that you do, man. It just, this whole thing flies because all the hard work that you do. So thank you very much and appreciate that. So,
Well, right back at you, buddy. But yeah, I can't wait to see these guys get on the ice
training camp,
and
here we go,
have
baby.
John Tortorella making a couple of them puke on the bench or whatever like
Part
that.
two.
Get them going, get them in
Yeah,
shape.
buddy.
All those cervezas and stuff they had on vacation. Yeah, that's good. We're going to see just how good a shape they're coming in.
Yeah,
So,
buddy. I hope some of them got the message and came into camp as in good a shape as they can. You know what I mean? So.
all right.
Big thanks to Spreaker for all of the great things that you guys do and all the help that you do for us, for getting us out there on all of the podcasting platforms. So all you have to do is go to your favorite podcasting platform, from Spotify to iHeart to Apple to Google, Amazon, you name it. All you have to do is type in the Hockey Writers Ink. We come up, and thanks to all you guys' great listening and all your listenership and all that other stuff and your rankings, we are in the top 11 of all of Flyers broadcasts for this coming year. So thank you guys very much for that. We really appreciate that. And I tell you what, man, we're looking forward to a great season here with the Flyers. Win, lose, or draw, it's definitely going to be an interesting season, and we're looking forward to it this year. More so, I think, than what we were last year, just because there's that four-letter word: hope.
Yeah, it's there this year for sure.
It's
It's there.
there this
A lot of
year.
people see it. So,
Yeah, buddy. So do we. So thank you guys very much for checking us out. I'm SteelFlyers, your co-host. You can find me on Twitter at SteelFlyers52. Lance, where can we find you?
yes, as always, you can find all my latest and greatest articles on steelflyers.com. And you can catch me on Twitter at lance.green39.
And you can check us out on all of the great Facebook groups and everything like that. We're all over
Flyers
the
group. Yeah.
Flyers groups and everything like that. So check us out there on Facebook. Also go to YouTube and check out the channel there on YouTube, where you can get all the great shows out there on YouTube. And also go check out the website, steelflyers.com. Thanks everybody for checking out another great episode of the Hockey Writers Inc. So we'll catch you guys later.